At HR 180, we know that disciplinary issues are often really tricky to deal with. You should have a clear process, so let's take a look at what that should be. Firstly, you'll need to decide if Jeff actually did anything wrong. Was it just a spat, or was there violence? The staff handbook explains what falls into a minor or more serious category. Most minor matters can be dealt with informally. First, speak to the two of them separately and then see whether they're willing to talk with each other. You're trying to make sure that they'll work together positively in the future. You do, though, need to make it clear what you expect of them both. Everyone must leave that meeting knowing what they've done wrong, if anything, and what will happen if the situation occurs again. So what if Jeff did punch his colleague? This is a definite disciplinary breach, so you'll need to consider the next 3 steps: suspension, investigation, and disciplinary. You need to decide if Jeff should be away from work during the investigation. Tell him what you think has happened and that suspension is just a precaution. It will be on full pay and doesn't mean you've decided anything yet. He needs to go home and not talk to anyone at work. So now that difficult conversation is out of the way, don't forget everything always needs to be confirmed in writing, especially if the individual mentions something during the suspension meeting. As the line manager, you'll be making the final decision, so you'll need to get someone else to do the investigation. Someone who's had no involvement so far and can look at it with a fresh pair of eyes. Why handle this on your own? Call HR 180, explain the facts, and let us take charge of the situation. We're just like a mini police department. We carry out our investigations, prepare everything for you, chair any meetings, and leave you to be the judge and jury in making a decision. To start off the investigation, we'll need to speak to any witnesses, but as it's a formal process, we'll ask them first in writing. We'll review the witness statements and then speak to Jeff to get the final piece in the jigsaw. Whilst everyone's stories are usually similar, there are sometimes minor differences. That's normal because everyone has a different take on the event. We're simply trying to work out what's the likeliest story. It may be that the investigation shows that nothing really happened. It was a non-event. Jeff would then come back to work, the case filed away and dropped. If, though, rules were broken, you'll need to write to Jeff inviting him to a disciplinary hearing, enclosing all of the evidence against him uncovered by the investigation, in this case, witness statements. In that letter, you need to give him enough notice, confirm what he's done wrong, and tell him he can bring a representative. The rep can be a colleague as long as they're not related, or a trade union official, even if you don't recognise one. At the disciplinary hearing, both of you will review the evidence and discuss it thoroughly. This is Jeff's chance to give his side of the story now that he can see the whole picture, and your chance to question him about anything still concerning you. Once you think you've got and discussed everything, you can make a final decision about what to do. So if you find that Jeff is guilty, you need to decide on a punishment. If it's clear there was an assault, then this is normally gross misconduct, which can usually result in instant dismissal, or at the very least a final written warning. If you dismiss him, Jeff needs to leave immediately, so you should take him to collect his belongings and make sure he hands over anything of the company's, such as passwords, files or equipment. As usual, explain your decision in writing, but clarify that Jeff has the right to appeal the result. It's worth making it clear, though, that the decision could be upheld, reduced or made worse. That's the risk he takes. Whilst you're experts in your own field, handling disciplinary issues is a whole different ballgame. HR 180 take as much of that burden away as possible so you can sleep at night. It's what we do best, handling everything with professionalism, compassion and realism. Every stage is delivered swiftly, fairly and with the minimum amount of fuss. If you're in the middle of a sticky people situation, don't worry about it anymore. Just call us.